Hello, this is Nathaniel Bishop with Bishop Property Management. Today we're going to be going over the basics of real estate investing. First things we really need to establish is what are your goals and what is the time frame you're looking to recover your returns. Some people may be looking to gain extra money and improve their lifestyle and take more vacations, while some people may be looking to replace their income from working a standard job. Now let's take a moment to look at some oversimplified examples of some of the most common types of real estate investing. The first method is typically a longer-term method of wealth building, which is buying and holding rental property for long term, collecting rents each month that exceed your cost of holding that same property and using those proceeds to fulfill your goals. Now let's go over the relevant parts of analyzing a real estate deal. First is the purchase price. Then we're looking at our financing terms, our monthly holding costs for that property, and then what we're looking to make on our monthly rent. There are other considerations to take into mind, but these are your basics that you need to make sure that you're aware of. So let's look at a deal that we've closed previously. We had a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and we had a purchase price of $100,000. The house is in a low income area, and we know that the Section 8 rent for that property is $1,300 a month. Speaking with our lender, we determined that we needed a 15% down payment, so we needed $15,000 out of cash. We're also going to need about $5,000 reserved for lender fees. Speaking further with the lender, we found out that we could ask for $2,000 in seller concessions to kind of cushion that blow a little bit. Now that we know what we're going to have to pay in order to acquire this property, let's look at the monthly payments that we're going to have to be making to pay for this. So we're going to be looking at financing the $100,000 minus the $15,000 payment, which equals out to $85,000. We punch that into an amortization calculator, and we come up with, at a 5% interest rate on a 30-year AM, we're looking at a payment of $456.30. Now we need to calculate what the additional holding costs are going to be for this property. We're not going to be worried about any sort of utility costs. The tenants are going to be paying for everything on this one. But we will have to worry about our taxes, insurance, and the management fee associated with the property. Looking at the county records, we found that the taxes for the year equaled about $85 a month. We also found, by the quote from the insurance company, that we're going to be paying about $85 a month in insurance. The property management fee was 10%, so another $130 in fees there. Now let's add up the total holding costs for this property on a monthly basis. First, we have a mortgage of $456.30. We have $85 in taxes, $85 in insurance, and $130 in property management fees. This equals to $756.30 in holding cost. Now we're going to take that expense and we're going to subtract it from the monthly income. So we have a monthly income of $1,300 from rent, and then we're going to subtract the $756.30 from the expenses, which leaves us a leftover of $543.70 of income coming in every month. I'm sure if you've ever looked at investing before, you've heard the term return on investment, or ROI. This is calculated by finding what your yearly income is and dividing it by the expenses that came out in order for you to purchase it. Let's do our numbers on this and see what kind of deal we got. So the first thing we need to calculate is what our yearly net is. So we established that we're making $543.70 a month. So in order to find our yearly, we're going to times that by 12, which gives us $6,524.42. Now we're going to take that number and divide that by the amount of money that we had to pay out, our estimated out of pocket, which was $18,000. So when we do the math on that, it equals 36.25%. So our return on investment in this deal was 36.25%. So, doing the math, you can see that in less than 3 years, we'd get back our initial investment, which would give us the funding to do yet another deal. I'm sure if you've ever watched TV, you've seen plenty of these flipping shows coming out. And that's what we're going to be discussing the next. So, house flipping is essentially a real estate investment strategy that involves buying a property at a low price, making repairs and improvements, and selling it for a higher price within a short amount of time. There are multiple considerations to take into mind when you're going to flip a house: purchase price of the property, the condition of the home, the cost of the repairs for that property, the holding cost, the after repair value, also known as the ARV, and the cost associated with actually selling the property. Now let's give an example. I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that a wholesaler brought me that I purchased at $62,000 with all associated fees tied in. Doing my walkthrough, I found that the roof needed replaced, the flooring, there was multiple trim that needed to be done. We were going to need a repaint, put in some light fixtures, update the kitchen, and do the bathrooms. I calculated that I was going to have about $25,000 in repairs. I looked up the tax bill from the previous year and calculated what my approximate holding costs on taxes were going to be during that time. I reached out to my insurance agent and got a quote for insurance for that time, and then calculated out what my utilities were going to be during that time. I came up with about $300 in taxes, $300 in insurance, and a utility bill of around $500 to hold during that time. So, doing my market analysis, I found that the property value was between $115,000 to $120,000. But I had an investor that was willing to purchase at $105,000 and do a 30-day closing as soon as repairs were done. So I was looking at about a 45 to 60-day holding period. After doing the numbers, I estimated I was going to make about $16,900 in profit. I typically overestimate my repair costs pretty significantly. I was actually able to complete the project, and I had $22,845 in the deal between repairs and holding costs during the course of the property. So I ended up actually making 20,155 days with the 58-day closing period from the day that I purchased to resold. There are some pretty significant caveats to be aware of when you're looking at doing a flip. First, it's extremely crucial that you have a good knowledge base on what the market is, not only for what you're purchasing, but what you're hoping to sell it for. A lot of flippers get in trouble by overestimating what they're going to be able to resell the property for. Second is that you need to have a firm grasp on what repairs realistically cost and what you're capable of doing yourself. A lot of people get into this thinking that they can get in and do the work and don't factor in the amount of time and energy and effort that they have to put into it. And they typically fail. So make sure that you're calculating what the contractor cost would be for any of these projects. So here was a very simplified version of the 2 most common strategies in real estate investing. What you choose to do will be entirely up to you. Just make sure that it matches your goals and that you have the time allotted in order to make your goals become